your life back." It was the same advice he'd been giving himself for months, and he intended to follow it. As soon as he figured out how. Fighting off a wave of melancholy, he tapped in the number the woman had provided, his index finger less than steady on the keypad. For a moment he examined the tremors, then shoved his hand in his pocket. He was tired, that's all. He needed food and sleep, in that order. The sooner the better. Things would seem brighter tomorrow. They had to. If this trip didn't help him sort out his life, he was out of options. While the phone rang, he looked toward the harbor again, past the long jetty on the left and the pair of rocky islands on the right that tamed the turbulent waves and protected the boats in the marina. His gaze skimmed across the placid surface of the sea, moving all the way to the horizon where cobalt water met deep blue sky. From his perch on the hill, the scene appeared to be picture perfect. But it wasn't. Nothing was. Not up close. That was the illusion of distance. It softened edges, masked flaws, obscured messy detail. It also changed perspective. If he was lucky, this trip would do all those things for him, and more. "Mr. Hunter, this is Madeline King. I've been trying to reach you." He shifted away from the peaceful panorama and adjusted the phone against his ear. "I've been traveling cross-country and my cell was off. I'm at the motel now. What can you suggest as an alternative?" "Unfortunately, there aren't many options in Hope Harbor, but there are a number of very nice places in Coos Bay or Bandon." As she began to rattle off the names of hotels, he stifled a sigh. He hadn't driven all the way out here to stay in either of those towns. He'd come to spend time in Hope Harbor. "Isn't there anything closer?" At his abrupt interruption, the woman stopped speaking. Not anything I'd recommend. I could probably find you a B&B that's closer, but those are on the pricey side. Most people book them for a night or two at most, and I believe you intended to stay for several weeks. Plus, B&Bs tend to be geared to couples." Good point. A cozy inn would only remind him how alone he was. "Okay, why don't you line me up with some place for a few nights while I decide what I want to do? Bandon would be my preference, since it's closer." "I'll get right on it." "Don't rush." He inspected the 2-block-long business district, such as it was. "I'm gonna wander around town for a while and grab a bite to eat." "Sounds like a plan. And again, I'm sorry for the inconvenience." Once they said their goodbyes, he grabbed a jacket from the back seat and locked the car. The midday sun was warm, but the breeze was cool, by his standards anyway. Perhaps a slight nip in the air was normal for Oregon in the third week of May, though. Stomach growling, he started down the hill. If he weren't famished, he'd head the opposite direction and check out the big empty beach at the base of the bluffs on the outskirts of town that he'd spotted as he drove in. A walk on the sand past the sea stacks arrayed offshore would be far more enjoyable than wandering along. He glanced at the street sign as he arrived at the bottom of the hill. Dockside Drive. The 2-block waterfront street didn't take long to traverse, and by the time he was halfway down the second block, it was clear his food options were limited to a bakery and a bait and tackle shop, with a sign advertising takeout sandwiches for the fishing crowd. All the real restaurants must be in the business district, one street removed from the marina. Just as he was about to retrace his steps, a spicy, appetizing scent wafted his way. He squinted toward the end of the block, where a white truck with a serving window on one side was perched at the edge of the tiny waterside park with the gazebo. Charlie's, according to the colorful lettering above the window, where a couple of people were giving orders to a guy with a weathered face and long gray hair pulled back in a ponytail. Another whiff of an enticing aroma set off a loud clamor in his stomach. Sold. Whatever they were cooking, he was eating. With a quick change of direction, he stepped off the sidewalk to cross the street. "Hey! Watch it!" At the frantic female voice, he swung around and jumped back just in time to avoid a collision with the bicycle heading directly toward him. The cyclist